Good day, Chamber members. Welcome to another edition of the Guam Chamber of Commerce Member Spotlight podcast. Today we have a special treat for our Chamber members. We have Charlie Hermosa, and Charlie is the owner and CEO of Bella Wings Aviation. Charlie, welcome to the Chamber podcast.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Charlie, maybe before we get along with our regular list of questions about your company, why don't you share something with our chamber members that most people don't know about you?
I think that I think one of the things that every time I'm asked this question, and I love to share this, it's sort of a story, but probably the one thing that most people don't know or may not have heard the story was back in my younger days, probably growing up in New York City at the age of 9, 10, I would sneak into Shea Stadium to watch the Mets. I befriended a groundskeeper. He actually saw us come in and sneak in one time, and we thought we were going to get in trouble, my friend and I, John Boyle. But in turn, he actually took us under his wing. And what he would do is we would go out there whenever we had a half a day from school, we would kind of find our way through the stadium. We would find, his name was Gil. Gil would see us, he would sit us down right in the front row, and we would watch him, and he would talk to us as he did the groundskeeping in Shea Stadium. And you know, a lot of people that have heard the story, I actually shared the story with a close friend of mine who then shared with the Mets, and the Mets heard about it. And when I was coming back from the Marine Corps, they actually invited me to come back and just kind of sit down and kind of walk around the stadium. So it was for me, it was a pivotal
story.
Yeah, very pivotal. I actually went by, you know, when I was leaving New York and I was going, you know, everybody was kind of trying to get out of New York at one point, and
right.
we finally, and I was going to school, I was going to the military, and went back to meet with him, but he actually ended up passing away.
Oh gosh.
You know, it was a good, you know, we did this for about 5-6 years, and
Okay.
it was an amazing time.
Okay, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so Charlie, you are the CEO of Bella Wings Aviation. Why don't you tell our chamber listeners a little bit about the company, when you established it, and what you guys do?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, as you said, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Bella Wings Aviation. My co-founder is actually Perla Cordero. And when you look at both of our backgrounds, Perla has a great love for aviation. I have a passion for supply chain logistics and just kind of finding efficiencies and how we do things. And during, as we were going into the pandemic, you know, we started looking at a lot of the social media posts, and we started to see a lot of requests from people that were in need of something, in need of baby supplies, home goods. And we started responding to some of these posts saying that, yes, no problem, we'll go out to the supermarkets and we'll buy you this stuff and then take it out to you. When they would give us the directions or the place to be able to get these goods to.
So this is like right at the beginning of the pandemic?
Beginning of the pandemic.
Okay, when people couldn't leave their homes and
couldn't leave their
go
homes,
into stores.
you know, they were not working, they were
Okay.
struggling financially. And so we set out to make these deliveries, and it was not easy. Some of these families lived way deep into the villages where I would say roads were not accessible.
Okay.
And so when we came back home one night, we really started looking into, like, how do we fix this? How do we fix this problem where people would have access to just normal deliveries? Like, what about if they do need medicine? What about if the child needs Tylenol or needs some type of medication? How do we get this to these families that that live in remote areas? And that's when the aviation logistics started coming together. We started researching, you know, what's the new wave of technology coming about. Drone technology was it.
Okay, so you thought, I got to get these supplies to that guy out in whatever village, and I can't get to him with my sedan because it's an off-road trip, so maybe I get a drone. Now this is probably, because Amazon, for example, has been talking about drone deliveries now for a while. Was it kind of built off that idea, or?
Yeah, we looked at different business models that were in the network. I mean, out in the public sector right now, Amazon being one, UPS being another. But, you know, I would say that the drone technology is still at the infancy. So
Okay.
there's not been one leader per se that has
Right.
been, everybody has these great ideas. And so where we sit is the fact that, you know, when you look at UPS, when you look at Amazon, you know, they're still talking about making, you know, deliveries when, you know, you go on the app, you order, you know, food. What we're talking about is real world. I mean, how do we solve problems to be able to get medicine to?
Sure.
And when you open up and when you look at the region, you start looking at the villages within Guam. But then when you start going to Palau, when you start going to FSM, Harmai, you have these small islands
Even
that have
harder
this.
to get
It's
to.
even harder,
Yeah.
and you have the same issue. So our mission, our vision, is to be able to create a networks of drone deliveries using drones to be able to connect the islands together,
Okay.
to provide everybody with access. We believe that everybody within the region should have access, no matter what level you are in the world, whether you're poor, whether you're middle class, whether you're rich. Everybody should have access to medicine,
Okay.
and whether you live on a remote island that only has 10 people, 200 people, you should have access.
Okay, so you started Bella Wings Aviation
Correct.
right around 2020?
Correct.
Okay, so about 3 years into it.
Correct.
Now, do you guys have a team of employees or is it just yourself?
Yeah, so we've progressively grown. We have 4 full-time employees, and then actually I would say 5 full-time employees now, and 3 part-time employees. And that's just sort of from a regular. We've also had the opportunity to actually train and license other pilots. And so one of the things that we want to continue to grow is the list of pilots that are available to do other work, because as the jobs start popping in, as the workforce starts getting comfortable in using drones for doing inspections,
Mhm.
videography, so forth, it's only going to continue to grow. So we're right now we're 5 to 6 strong, but we have a long list of pilots that support us on our mission that goes up to about 11, 12 people.
Okay, so like sort of freelancer pilots who
Correct.
come in and just fill the gap when you have.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Now, you have these employees on your team. Now, how many do you guys have? Like a ton of drones at your disposal at the moment?
We do.
What's that look like?
We do, and we actually created, and we had the grand opening about a year ago, almost a year ago, no, almost more than a year ago, but it was what we call the flight lab, right? So we have a drone flight lab on the 3rd floor of the 2 Monsands. Most people don't know that there's a 3rd floor, but there is.
Yeah.
Right on top of Chili's, and so we've been able to settle well there, and when you come into the office, you actually kind of see all the magic that's happening. For example, everybody knows us from the drone light shows that we do.
Right.
So we usually use about 100 drones for those shows. So we have 100 drones. We're working on multiple. We're working on the washing drones right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to start developing what we call the Aeroblast. So we use drones to clean the side of the buildings, hotels.
Oh, wow.
Very safe, very easy, very quick,
Yeah.
very economical. We're doing inspections for power lines, with the inspections for the telecoms after post the typhoon. So we're really trying to get the technology out. So I would invite every member to shoot me an email, or if you have kids, or if you're interested, to really just come over with a flight lab, because you'll see everything that's going on, from 3D printing, manufacturing. I mean, just a lot of technology that's happening in the office.
Wow, fantastic! And you're saying this is what's at the 3rd floor of the
Correct.
TSP. Okay, that's great. Now, you talk about like the light shows, and so other than like maybe work for the government, any other? Do you have like private customers as well?
Yep, we do. We have a lot of private customers that have requested primarily for when they do surveying.
Okay.
So it actually, obviously, when you take a look at what the drone can do versus somebody actually walking,
Right.
we can probably do 4 or 5 times the speed and the time that's requested. We do a lot of videography. We do a lot of inspections right now for, one of the things that we're trying to promote is the power inspection. So we do a lot of site assessments.
Okay.
To where one of the programs that we do use is accident recreation scenes. So for example, if there's an accident in a crane somewhere, or where we need to recreate it from a 3D environment, that's what we would do. That's probably one of our biggest things that we're promoting right now.
Okay.
is the virtual reality engineering, is what we call virtual reality engineering. So if you think of the metaverse, right? So that to us, we feel very strongly that that's sort of the direction of what the world's going to move towards. Is sort of like a virtual reality. The phones are going to be obsolete in the next 1 year to 2 years. Augmented reality is going to be the wave of the future. So what we're doing is recreating these environments where, whether it's accidents, whether it's inspections, whether it's real estate markets, maybe it's something that I should share with Siska.
Yeah.
But what we can do is recreate exactly a 3D version, a virtual version of any area, will immerse you into the 3D world. You dong on the headsets,
Yep.
and you teleport.
So do you have one of those new Apple fancy
We do.
headsets now?
We do.
Yeah,
we
is
do.
it like $3,500 or something?
Yeah, I mean the whole set is completely different because when you submerge yourself into this world,
Mhm.
you're almost physically there, and
Yeah.
there's a way for you to be able to actually have multiple people. So you can be in New York, you have another person in Hawaii, you have another person in Dubai, one person in Guam, and we can all teleport into this file, and we can physically be like
Interact with
just the way you
information.
are,
Yeah,
you and
yeah.
I are doing it right
That's
now,
great.
but we're not actually here.
Wow, that's great. Yeah. Okay, so you have obviously you've been in business for 3 years. You have a bunch of work coming your way. You have it sounds like you guys have a plan for what's next. Let's talk about you personally. How would maybe your team of 5 pilots describe your leadership style?
I think, probably the way they would describe it is, visionary.
Okay.
Right. So we have a lot of meetings, we have a lot of discussions, and the way that I manage is, I know it's kind of easier said than done, but through gut instinct sometimes, because I feel that there's certain things that when we discuss, it just makes sense, and we gotta do it.
So I assume the visionary types are also the ones that have like that shiny object syndrome, where like, oh wow, something new. Let's kind of take a look at this. Now, how do you stay focused on the Bella Wings mission with all the other different things coming your way? I mean, must be a lot of information now with AI taking hold.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true, because one of the things that I have to work at hard is to stick to the mission and the vision, because of the shiny objects that are all over, and something really neat or cool comes up, I'm like, let's do
It's
this,
too
let's
fun.
look at
Yeah.
it, but at the end of the day, I think one of the things that we've really put together is our program is going to continue, and our mission is going to continue to be able to create the network of deliveries. But in the back end, in order to be able to get to that point and support what we're doing, we're going to have to do these other things: the drone light shows, the inspections, as added value to what we promote.
Okay. Okay, Charlie. So before we wrap up our podcast, I wanted to ask you: are there any books or other podcasts or any other resources that you want to share with our chamber members that have been influential to you and kind of shaped your vision of the world, or just anything you want to share for fun?
Probably one of the best books. I think there's actually 2 books. One is probably more spiritual than anything, which was the Celestine Prophecy. And just real quick, the Celestine Prophecy actually kind of guides you and works you through a storyline, but it allows you to believe that we actually have a sixth sense to be able to understand and feel people's energy, and really understand and how to read people, and whether they're having a good day, bad day. Walk to a room and just, wow, you feel the energy and you thrive off the energy, and you kind of, you build your own energy based on that.
Okay.
And the other one is Good to Great. For me, that has, even to this day, it still kind of hits on the tones as far as being able to develop the workforce, being able to identify the right people
Right.
for everything that you want to be able to do. How do you want to move the company forward? And so it really, that's sort of where my mission is as well, is because I have no doubt that Bella Wings will be one of those companies for Guam that's a staple, where we'll have our own large warehouse production and leading the market on this side of the world. I have no doubt that we will.
Now,
be there.
yeah, it does sound like it has a very promising future. What is, I guess, the regulatory environment like? I mean, for you, I assume that's probably the number one concern, or at least hurdle or obstacle to get around.
Right.
Do you have like a person who's dedicated to keeping an eye on all that, or is that you?
No, so Perla, she works for United, so she's really heavily into. If anybody wants to talk about regulatory, she's
Okay.
well in depth, and she's also a pilot herself.
Yeah.
We work closely with the FAA,
Yeah.
and one of the things that we've been actually trying to promote is the fact that we believe that Guam and this region should be a haven for testing of the drone technology out here, because we have an abundance amount of water, so we can do a lot of testing. If something was to happen, it's not going to land in an urban environment or in homes. You'll lose it, go in the water, okay, no big deal.
Yeah.
So we're actually promoting that with the FAA. The FAA is really catching on to that. So I think that on the R&D side, being able to promote and get other companies come out here and actually promote their technology is another way that's going to happen.
Okay. Well, Charlie, thank you so much. If our chamber members want to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you or your
Yep.
team?
I can give you my direct number. I'm always 24/7. That's just the way I operate. So 671-988-5809, or at charlie@bellawingsaviation.com. That's one word. Or you can find us on the website at www.bellawingsaviation.com, or Instagram, which we do a lot of, and that's Bella Wings Guam.
Or the Tumon Sands Plaza?
Or just come over to
third
Tumon.
floor.
I would highly promote the fact that we want to be able to invite everybody to come over to our lab and really play. And if you'll find the very technical aspect about yourself, but if you have kids and everything, that's the other part of it that we want to be able to promote is education. We want to be able to get the talent locally and then kind of continue to grow and bring them on work so that they can work for us one day.
All right. Well, Charlie, thank you so much for joining us today. It was really nice to learn about Bella Wings Aviation. Good luck to you and all the future endeavors that you guys have. Chamber members, thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you on the next episode of the Chamber Member Spotlight Podcast.